The thing the Prime Minister does not want to talk about or get people to think about is quarantine and vaccines. He's had 2 jobs, above all else, with the pandemic in the last few months. Manage quarantine to stop COVID coming in and stop it leaking out of hotel quarantine, and get a reliable, diverse supply of vaccines and get them out to states and territories to get in people's arms. He's obsessed with Labor every question time. He doesn't want to talk about doing his own job. The vaccination program is way off track. We've got 1% of people in this country, as of last Thursday, vaccinated. 1%. That's an embarrassment across the whole of the developed world. We're vulnerable to outbreaks and lockdowns. We're seeing it now re-emerge in Melbourne because it leaked out of a South Australian hotel room, because there's no national standards for quarantine. Imagine if Labor had made a mess like this. You'd run out of black ink to print the newspapers. The borders, Labor mess. But apparently it's okay when we have 1% of Australians vaccinated because of their incompetence, their mixed messages and confusion. We need to be careful not to confuse anti-vaxxers with vaccine hesitancy. Vaccine hesitancy, I was down the shops for 2 hours, had a lot of very sensible people come up saying, well, I'm not sure about the AstraZeneca vaccine. I heard the Health Minister, and they were quoting it, saying, well, you can get another one in a few months. You need a consistent, serious message. They've spent $1 billion on taxpayer ads since they got elected, but not when it actually matters. Literally right now, there's ads on TV funded by the taxpayer, promoting the Liberal Party, promoting roads that haven't even been built, but they haven't got a proper vaccination campaign out. Why is that? Because they've stuffed up the supply, they've stuffed up the distribution, and they don't actually want people to think hard about that. They put all their eggs in one basket, and the government owns this shocking failure. It's adding billions of dollars to the debt, costing billions of dollars to the economy, and it's on their watch. And then there's quarantine. The Prime Minister never takes responsibility when it matters. He turns his back on people. If you're a cat or a dog or a horse and you come to Australia, you go to a Commonwealth quarantine facility. But if you're a person, apparently, that's not his responsibility. He's had a report 7 months ago on his desk, the Holton report, saying there's a bunch of things you have to do. You've got to have national standards. Still no national standards for quarantine. All the states and territories do different things. Prime Minister likes it that way because he can blame them instead of doing his job. Still, the health guidelines in the country don't even accept that COVID's airborne, because then he'd have to fund N95 masks and put ventilation standards in. The best time to build a national quarantine facility was last year, and the next best time is today. He needs to fix hotel quarantine, build purpose-built quarantine. And with regard to the borders being open, we hear a lot of footsie. He doesn't want people to think about what the future is like. It is way too early to know about quarantine-free travel. But keeping the virus out does not mean keeping all people out. Australians should not have to live in a gilded cage. Australia, under this government, needs to overhaul completely how we're managing the coming and going of people, scale up nationally auspiced quarantine. There can be no certainty about how and when borders open safely, and it's way over time that the Prime Minister stood up, did his job and took responsibility for quarantine and fixed his vaccine mess.